Hey there, CGMS students. You're on page 421 in your packet, and we're going to do this first problem. Last year, a middle school band had 80 students. This year, the band has 120% of that number of students. So think about this conceptually. If I had 100% of last year, 100% of 80, that would be 80, right? So this question is asking, what is 120% of 80? Right? It should be more than 80, right? Your percentages can be more than 100%, right? Because 100% is the whole thing. 120% is a little bit more than the whole thing, right? So that word of, it's a sneaky little guy right there, but it basically means to multiply. And when you're thinking of percentages, you're not going to multiply 120 times 80. You're going to write that as a decimal. So 120% would be 1.20, 1 being your whole, your 100, and 0.2 being the 20%. So 1.20 times 80, and that should give you 96 students. Now there's another way to think of this. It's your part over your whole is equal to your percentage over 100. If you are able to fill in this proportion, you'll be able to solve these every single time. So in this case, we said last year a middle school band had 80 students. That was the entire band, right? So that's your whole, so 80. We don't know the part for this year, but we do know that it is 120% of 100. So when I do this, I cross multiply. So I multiply 100 times x, and I multiply 120 times 80. And when I do that, 120 times 80 gives me 9,600, and 100 times x gives me 100x. And so now this is just a one-step equation. 100x is equal to 9,600. So I see multiplication, so therefore I go ahead and divide both sides by 100. And this cancels out here, and I get my answer of x is equal to 96. Same answer both ways that you do it. One seems like a little bit shorter, but this kind of proportion that I've set up for you is super helpful if you know how to work with that. So if we look back, it says how many students have band this year? Well, it's 96. We know that 120% of 80 is 96. So look ahead. You can think of 120% as broken up as 100% plus 20%. You can think of 80% as 100% minus 20%. And percents are used in calculating this thing called simple interest. You can owe interest on a loan, or you can earn interest when you give money to a bank. And the simple interest formula is I is equal to PRT. I is the interest. P is called the principal, or the amount of money that you put in initially. R is the rate in which the bank is charging, and T is the amount of time that you leave it in there. So suppose you borrow $300, that's your principal, at a yearly rate or annual simplest rate of 3.4%. This is your rate for 3 years. That's your time, right? So your principal is equal to 300. Your rate, 300. Your rate is 3.4%, or written as a decimal, this is important, 0.034. Remember, if you have a percent to change to decimals, so once, twice to the left. And your time is 3 years. Okay. Suppose you borrow $400 a yearly simple interest rate for 3% for 3 months. Right, so your principal is 400. Your rate is 3%, written as a decimal is 0.03. Now your time should always be in years. So 3 months out of 12 months, that's a fraction, which gets simplified for 1/4 of a year. So your time is 1/4 of a year. A mark down decreases the cost of an item. A mark up increases the cost of an item. So suppose a store puts an item on sale for 25% off. Is that a mark up or a mark down? It's a mark down because it's a sale of 25%. Meaning you pay 75% of the normal price. So if something is $100 and they say, hey, we got a 25% off sale, you pay $75 for that item. And often when you buy something, you pay percent of the price called tax. So tax is always added onto the total. So you're always going to pay 100% for the item, but also you're going to pay the tax as well. So suppose you pay 7% tax on an item. So that's 7% plus the 100% that you already pay. That's 107% that you will pay at checkout, which as a decimal is 1.07, because 100% is 1 and 7% is 0.07. So added together, that's how you get that 1.07. And finally, many people give tips or gratuities for good service. Many salespeople earn a commission on their sales, meaning like if you sell a lot, you make more money. It's kind of also like a tip, right? So John earns 9% commission on a $1,000 sale. How much is Jason's commission? Sorry, Jason, not John. So 9% commission is going to be added on. It's a good thing though. And so 9% of 1,000. And in order to do this, you got to change this to a decimal. So 0.09 times 1,000. And that equals $90. So for selling something for $1,000, John earns an extra $90 as part of his work. So lastly, is it possible for a single price change to be both a markup and a markdown? Think about that. Have you ever gone to the store and something's on sale, but then gone to the cash register and also had to pay a markup for that? That'd be interesting. All right, ask for the exit ticket.